All right. So thank you for being here today. I greatly appreciate it. Um, we have a topic that's really near and dear to my heart to talk about today. Um, we're a little bit late on time, so I'm going to try to go quickly. This does stem from presentations I've been doing for the past 12 years. And I pulled slides from back in 2015 all the way up to more recently, and you'll see a few style changes and things, but I did my best. And this is thank you, Pete. Yeah, that's probably good. Actually, we don't want them to go to sleep, and that's great. Hey, Nathan, can you see the slides? Okay, yeah, let's go and turn it on. It's all good. So the thesis here is recognizing our adult volunteers and saying thank you. How do we do this? How do we best do it? And what are some of the hurdles we'll find on our way? And Greg had a great few points, and Heather helped me out with a few topics as well. I think some of your stuff you'll need to chime in later because I didn't get into the slides, but Heather will throw popcorn at me and let me know. It's all. Oh, there we go. Red vines, as is tradition on the ship to have red vines. All right. So that is the topic of discussion. Why do we do this? And one of the most important things that I found is taking that time to say thank you. Thank you for the service you provide, for making our scouts have something exciting to do, giving them a program that they're looking for, right? Youth don't join our program, whether it's Cub Scouts, a troop, a venture crew, a ship. They don't join just because mom, dad, grandma, grandpa want them to. There, at some point, becomes I want to be here. And yeah, when they're like first grade and mom or dad says, we're going to go do Tiger Cubs, okay, they're just going to go, right? And they're going to find a friend and whatever. But it's the people like you and me and everybody else in this room that spends the time and the dedication and often the money and the blood, sweat, and tears to make this work. And it's time every once in a while to say thank you. Otherwise, we reach a point we call burnout, where people don't feel like they're appreciated, and we don't want that. Recognize that dedication, the leadership they provide, the service, the vision. Even den leaders have a vision for what their next den meeting should look like, right? All the way up to, I have a vision for what this roundtable discussion should have looked like. Is it going well so far? I'll let you know later. Also, as we do this, we can encourage other people, that mom, dad, or whatever stands in the back of your pack meeting, just waiting for it to be over. Everybody's seen that, right? And it's frustrating because you know that there's something there they can help out with. And if we have that moment of saying thank you, maybe they'll offer to step up, or maybe we can encourage them to take on a role, even if it's bounded, whatever that is. Something that's small, something that's contained can be the start of a long and fruitful relationship as a volunteer. The other reason is, and I was talking to Heather about this earlier today, and Neil, Journey to Excellence, if you haven't heard, is officially dead. I am one of the people that appreciated what JT. Thank you, John. John's going to say a little eulogy for us here. I am one of the people, and I don't think it's few people, but there are those of us like myself who appreciate what JTE is. It's a good set of milestones for us to reflect on every year and say, how are we doing? How can we improve? And I think a lot of people got frustrated with the mechanism, the math involved. What's the percentage of scouts that advanced? Oh my gosh, that's so much math. Some of you may not know this, but I'll go ahead and let you know. This was in existence when I was a youth. It was called the Quality Unit Award. And then it was retooled over the years, became Journey to Excellence. And it actually rolled all the way up, started at the unit level, went to district, went to council, and I think there was a national. And if you watched over the past 5 or 6 years, the council went away, the district went away, and the unit levels they didn't languish, but they were there, right? There is a 2024 calendar year JTE scorecard. If you are interested, I encourage you as unit leaders to go through it and just take a look, do the math, see how you did. You can send it to me if you want. I have no one to send it to. Council is not taking them. But it's a good set of mileposts. So the reason I wanted to mention this is, one, JTE is done. I don't expect 2025 scorecard to come out, or 2026, unless they decide to reboot it. You never know, right? This factored into some of the awards that I'm going to talk about, and you'll see a change in the language from earn Journey to Excellence Silver at minimum 2 out of 3 years, something like that. It's now different. I'll call those out when we get to it. Okay. This is still good to reflect on. For those of you that appreciate it for what it is, save that 2024 scorecard and go back to it and ask yourself, how are we doing? Questions about JTE? Go ahead, John.
It's not a question.
Go
I'm
ahead.
actually quoting you.
Okay.
When I was a new committee chair.
Okay.
You handed me the Journey to Excellence and you said, look at the categories
Yep.
here, and you should have someone of your parents in charge of each one of
Gosh,
those.
that sounds like me, doesn't it?
It's quoting you. Those
Yep.
who are,
Yeah.
thinking about helping out your committee chairs to think, oh, who do I need on my committee?
Yeah.
It was a good outline.
It is. And a great example of that is one of them was budget. And the budget naturally fits to a treasurer position. Who's your treasurer? And they should have a budget. And it's a good milestone. Just that one goal of our troop, our pack, our crew, our ship should have a budget. What goes in, what goes out. So thank you. Yes. And that is something I said, as I recall. And it's a good point that go ahead, Neil. Yeah.
One of the things I particularly like JDE or the quality.
You're the other one.
Is it allowed me to look to see if I had a balanced program.
Ah,
Was I missing something? It's like,
Yep.
okay, oh, did I do enough recruiting or did I slack on some other
Yep.
part? Or, how many, quarter decks did I have in a year?
Yep.
All those sorts of elements I could see, oh, well, National actually thinks that we ought to have X.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to work on that particular area, but gave me areas to focus on for the
Yep.
next year. And so to me, it helped me provide a better quality unit.
I agree.
For the
I think that's true for Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA troops, crews, and ships. That these things factor into how we create a good program. Please.
What I do all the time was a motivational factor for myself or my
Yeah.
youth, because maybe we didn't want to do quite that much, but if we didn't, we weren't gonna get the award. And it wasn't that we were bad people, but just that we were just.
You were almost.
We needed a little help along the way.
For sure, absolutely. So what I want to do, go ahead, Virginia.
Because it went away at the national level, they stopped doing the ribbons a
Yep.
couple years ago. Maybe the scout shop still has some patches, the district can recognize
Yeah.
units if you want to use those same metrics, because I am also a believer
Yeah.
in JZ. I think it
I-
measures everything that you need.
Last I heard, somebody here went and bought 2024 patches from Kim before the scout shop folded up and boxed everything up. They probably still have them somewhere. And in fact, one of the awards I'm not going to talk about that really is youth centered is Supernova and STEM Nova awards that was really great for the Cub Scouts. It filtered into Scouts BSA and venturing, if I remember right. That has been sunsetted, but you can still do it. And you can, if they still have them at the scout shop, go buy the things until they're out. That's kind of how they're doing it. And there might be a bunch of stuff down there. Doesn't factor into as much what we're talking about here, but that's kind of what that same philosophy espouses of if we have patches, we'll sell them to you. I think it was, did Daryl buy a bunch for our troop? I feel like he did. I don't remember. Anyway. Okay, so moving on, I want to start at where the rubber meets the road in Cub Scouting and kind of work my way up. And where I always say the rubber meets the road is the den leader. One of the most challenging jobs in scouting that we volunteer for. And one of my favorite things as a pack committee chair to give out was the Den Leaders Training Award. And it's very achievable. You need to be registered as a den leader. You need to be fully trained, youth protection. I think hazardous weather is required for den leader now, if I remember right. Anybody know? I think. Anyone? It might be. If it is, it's going to be in that online training. And you can be trained as a den leader online fully. It takes about 3.5, 4 hours total. It's broken up into sections, like most of the stuff. Or you can do it in person if we offer it, if you find it somewhere. And the code is C42 for that, by the way. Not that anybody's doing codes. The next thing for this is I call it extended additional learning. Go to University of Scouting for the year that you're claiming. Come to Roundtable, 4 times. One of those two, maybe both. That kind of lets you fill in the blanks see the picture better, right? And then during that tenure that you're claiming, whatever it is, there's a list of things here. I'm not going to read them to you. We do at least 5 of them. And some of these, in my opinion, are, hey, you're just being an awesome den leader. Having an assistant, having a plan, meeting with your assistants, doing a service project with your scouts, stuff like that. It's very achievable. There is now language in the brand new one. I'm going to bring up the sheet real quick. And all this, by the way, you don't have to type furiously. I apologize for forgetting to mention this. All this is on a Google Drive, and you will, if you signed in, get an email, hopefully this evening or tomorrow, with a pointer to a location where all these slides are, as well as I have collected all the most recent progress records and nomination forms that I could possibly find. So with that, oh my gosh, here we go. If you go there, you will see me clicking furiously. This is how I do my records, by the way. Okay, so Den Leader Training Award. Hopefully you can see online. There is a provision back to this 1-year tenure for a Den Leader to have a shortened year for Lions or Arrow of Light, because oftentimes those aren't a full 12-month calendar year. It used to be that was for Tigers before the Lion program was mainstream. And now Arrow of Light is kind of its own thing. So it is very easy to do. Notice that the Cub Master signs under training, and then the committee chair for your pack signs under you did 5 of these 10 things. So since you're a den leader, you're working essentially under the guidance, hopefully, of a Cub Master, and the committee chair is part of that. This is a little bit unique. There's one other award I'm going to mention that has both your committee chair and your unit leader sign. This is a different one. And then when you're done with this, whether you're a committee chair and you have a den leader and you're like, I want to recognize this person, you bring it to our district training chair. Who knows who our district training chair is? Shout it out. His name is? There. He was here today talking about training. It makes sense. So bring it to Daryl. He'll sign it and he sends it to Michelle downtown and she takes care of things. And if you happen to see in the wild a different looking knot, they're used to, oh, John has one on his shirt. The Weebelow's Den Leader Award is with the yellow knot on the yellow background. And I've seen a few of the Tiger Den Leader on the left there. Yeah, Nathan's got all 3. That's awesome. Now, the important thing, and I always say this because I think it's so cool, we get to interact with folks that have been doing this for so long. It is always okay to wear, if it was ever okay to wear on your uniform, it is always okay. There's never a time where we say, well, that was okay yesterday to put that on your uniform, but today you should take it off. You can always wear that. And it's also cool because, like with John and Nathan back there, every uniform tells a story, right? And you can go look at Nathan's shirt and go, man, that guy spent some time as a den leader, right? He got some knots. So that's what those were. It was all collapsed in 2012, if I remember right, into one knot. Today, the way that we recognize somebody who has marched up and earned this multiple times is different. I'll get to that in just a few minutes here because that applies to more than one knot. Questions about the Den Leader Training Award?
And the new requirements are actually some of the JTE stuff is filtered into.
So,
the.
Thank you for bringing that up. The Den Leader Training Award has never been hinged on JTE. There's never been JTE mentioned that I'm aware of. So those requirements are pretty much exactly the same. The difference that I noticed when I downloaded the new one was the tenure and the exception for Lion and Arrow of Light.
Okay.
So JTE is not a part of it. You're focused on your den. You're 2 through 14 scouts, hopefully, or whatever, and making sure they have an awesome program. The next one is Scouters Training Award, and this is a collection. Nathan, you can bring that up here if you want. This is a collection of awards at different program levels. So the Cub Scouter volunteer is going to have one set of requirements. And everybody sign in.
Good catch.
Thank you. That's my superpower. There you go. Your Scouts BSA volunteer will have a slightly different set. They're all very similar though. So all these links should be live. They're all new, fresh, I should say. And there's one for venturing. There's one for Sea Scouts.
The commissioner
Okay, and thank you for bringing it up. I'm focusing tonight on unit level for the most part. There are commissioner, scouters training is only, I believe, on the committee side. Scouters Key has commissioner committee. I think, unless they changed it. The arrowhead is what is kind of fits that for the commissioner side. I could be wrong. It could be both. These are the ones I want to focus on. The unit level volunteer that has been doing this for at least 2 years. That's the 10-year requirement. I'm a pack treasurer. I'm a scoutmaster. I'm a crew advisor. I'm a Sea Scout shipper. I've been doing this for 2 years. I'm fully trained. For most of us, that can be done online, with the exception of Scoutmaster, IOLS. What's the Sea Scout version? IOLS. There's a Sea Scout version of IOLS. I think the crew version is the same, isn't it, Janelle?
At least back in the day.
The
yes.
outdoor? I think
It
it's the
was-
same. That has to be done in person. As a Cub Master, as a den leader, all those things you can be online, or as a pack treasurer or an outdoor coordinator for your troop, you can be online trained 100%. No big deal. And then there are a few things here that you do extra, going a little bit more than just being registered and doing the work. Again, a little bit of additional training, University of Scouting, coming to some roundtables. And that would be each year that you're claiming for tenure. So I went to University of Scouting last year, and then I attended 4 roundtables this year, would be one example, right?
These don't have to be consecutive years. do they?
That's a great question. Let's go to the source and find out, shall we? Scouters training. Let's look at Scouts BSA real quick. So I believe not, because there's 2 lines. So you can take a break and then do another year.
Yep.
And that's similar to the Scouter's Key is like that. It doesn't have to be continuous. I'll just go ahead and read off of this for a second. So you're trained, you have an additional supplemental, we'll get to that in a second. University of Scouting, 4 roundtables, and then some performance things. Troop annual planning, this is again Scouts BSA. So, and there's a similar one for Cub Scouts. Doing some sort of annual planning, participating in some way. Doesn't mean you have to run it. It means you were there. You said something, you were part of the program. These 2 replace the serve as registered leader that achieves council assigned performance goals and give primary leadership is exactly what JTE used to be referenced. It used to be, for this one, you had to achieve JTE bronze minimum, I think at least twice, if I remember right, and then provide a leadership role. And that's what Mr. Rigg was talking about with, hey, you're the treasurer, you should be in charge of the budget, that kind of thing. So we have these ideas here of a council assigned performance objective. I don't know if Virginia can educate what that means, or if that's still yet to be determined from a professional perspective.
To confer with the awards committee.
Okay. I don't know what that means, to be honest. And I was hoping to learn a little bit, but I'm not terribly surprised because this is very new. We don't have specific goals aligned for us, so we have to probably make them for ourselves. And then this one's one of my favorites. One additional supplemental training of some kind above and beyond University of Scouting, above and beyond coming to roundtable, whatever that is. And Heather and I went back and forth on this back in the day. I have a few examples. For a Cub Scout volunteer, it is absolutely appropriate to go to Blue, get Blue trained. That's additional supplemental, allows your pack to go camping. Wood badge. Absolutely. You go to Wood badge, you attend, you work on your ticket, great. I, as a roundtable commissioner, decided I wanted to take IOLS because I started interacting with Scoutmasters more than I was previously. This was about 6 years ago. And I wanted to understand what they need as Scoutmasters, right? If I'm going to talk to them about what kind of things a Scoutmaster should be doing, I better know that. However, IOLS doesn't fit here if you're a Scoutmaster or an assistant Scoutmaster. That's required to be trained. A couple other things, Trainer's Edge, train the trainer kind of stuff.
Wilderness first aid.
That's a great one. Thank you. Wilderness First Aid is a fantastic one. Takes about a day and a half. Any others? Is it too full? I think
Safety
the one I went to was about 16 hours. Yeah. So Safety Afloat is online, right?
What's the other one that's 8 hours in person? There's two water ones.
Yeah, there's like 3.
Okay.
There's one where you need, like, you have to have a national camp person.
Yeah.
So you're
Okay.
basically a summer camp and you go there and it's like a
And you learn stuff.
two 4-hour days or
Right,
whatever.
okay.
And you do all that stuff.
This
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So this speaks to, from my opinion, and take it for what it's worth, it's just my opinion. When I look at this requirement, and the verbiage is a little bit different. This one says participate. It used to say attend. And I looked at it as, I want to see somebody go to something and actually do a thing, not sit and watch videos. That's my opinion. You as committee chairs, those of you out there, get to decide if that's what your threshold is. Every unit can kind of make that. That's what I decided.
There's a star, does
There's
that
a-
star represent something?
Council or
just contact,
local
okay.
council supplemental
Yeah,
training
or council.
availability. So if there isn't a wood badge training available, maybe they, wave your hand and talk about something else.
I'll help you find it.
October, first 2 weekends in October. It's going to be great. So that is the Scouters Training Award. Again, there's slightly different requirements as you go through the programs. All of those are on the Google Drive. You can take a look and see what you think. But again, 2 years of tenure, straight across the board. There is overlap available. However, you can earn this at multiple levels. So if you are an assistant scoutmaster and also a cub master, those tenures don't overlap necessarily, right? You count your time as a scoutmaster, you count your time as assistant scoutmaster or skipper or whatever it is. Registration, time and registration is what matters. All right, next one is the Scouter's Key Award, which sounds and looks almost the same, but it's a bit more restrictive. We're getting down to really recognizing the people who make this work. Same programs and also commissioners and committee members of district and council, but I'm going to focus on unit level, Cub Scouts, Scouts BSA, Venture Crew, Sea Scouts, and you'll notice the names. It's called the Cub Master's Key. Who's available? Who is that eligible for, do you think? The Cub Master. 10 leaders? Nope. Sorry. And they are unique enough that I actually broke them out. Copy and pasted from 6 years ago. Cub Master has an interesting caveat to it. 3 years of tenure does not need to be consecutive. You can count 1 year as an assistant Cub Master. If you're coming in, getting acclimated, and you're taking over, and then that previous Cub Master moves on and you take over, that first year as assistant counts, or you can go the other way if you're rolling off the back end, or maybe in the middle, whatever it is. Very similar to Scouter's training. Council assign objectives, participate in annual planning, and then again, one of those advanced classes. This is where you can overlap things, folks. If you're a Scoutmaster or a Cub Master and you're working on Scouter's Key, the tenure, as well as, in my understanding, that additional advanced training can double count. Keep that in mind. Always good to do more training, always good to have more stuff. So the Cub
are during that period, not like, I did with bench 10 years ago.
Yes, and I believe there is language to that effect. Thank you for bringing that up. There's a Scoutmaster's Key that has a little bit extra. There's a National Outdoor Challenge, which I've seen a couple times in the wild. That's a tough one, actually, depending on how you do it. ILST being part of that. It's just got that done. I know some of you folks do that on a regular basis. Always a good thing. Annual planning, and then again, that extended training, whatever it is. Wilderness First Aid, as you mentioned, is a good one. And then the Advisor's Key is very similar. I forgot to update it, sorry. ILSC is going to be the one that they're looking for. And again, so very, very similar. And Skipper's Key has its own thing. Sorry, I forgot to update number 2. But you can go to the Google Drive here when you have a chance and take a look if you want to look at the Scouts. This is just the first word for this one is the role. So a Scoutmaster's Key here will be do everything. So again, three years of tenure. And notice on these last two, Scouter's Training and Scouter's Key, the troop committee chair is the one that's signing. And then it's going to Mr. Crossman or whoever is serving at that time as our district training chair. So there's the performance goals we mentioned, the troop planning session and additional supplemental IOLS, National Outdoor Challenge, and those council assigned performance goals. Pretty easy. 3 years of tenure can be a long time, especially if you're a Cub Master. Woo! That's a lot of Cub Scouts. A lot of Cub Scouts. But it's also fun. So that is the Scouter's Key Award. I want to go back for a second and show you something that I glossed over real quick, because each of these things, if you think about Scouter's training and Scouter's key, you can earn it in different programs. Cub Scouts, Scouts BSA, the whole bit, right? How do we recognize that? You don't rack up 4 Scouter's training awards in your uniform. We have these cool little things that are called devices. You'll see them on the bottom right over there, right below the knot. And you'll notice if you squint that they're very small, not just on the screen. Each one, and Heather has a few she can show you, and so does you got blinged out.
Yeah.
Our Sea Scout friends like their bling. That's awesome.
You're allowed 6 knots.
That's true. That's right. That's true. So importantly, again, you don't add the same knot multiple times. You can add a device if you wish. There's one for Cub Scouts, Scouts BSA. There's actually one for an old varsity program on here that's no longer there. The 2 on the bottom are actually the commissioner and committee devices. So if you get into commissionering or helping Jeff on the committee, you can actually earn some of these as well. Virginia.
Can a Scoutmaster nominate themselves?
We're going to get to that. Thank you for bringing it up. Greg brought this up to me in an email, and I think this is a really good point. Thank you for bringing it up. So this isn't a nomination per se, and to speak briefly to this, where'd my cursor go? Oh, there it is, hiding. This is a progress record. The 3 that I've shown you so far, I like to think of as check the boxes knots. This isn't necessarily a nomination. This is, have you done the things, right? So despite what Virginia just said, I want you to think of these as not necessarily nominations. We're going to get back to this in a second. The Den Leaders Training Award. Okay, what?
They're leading by example. You're showing
Ooh,
the kids.
yes,
how to earn
there you go.
their-
Advocate for yourself. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
and-
Thank you,
and-
Janelle.
and do what it is, document what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so as a den leader, if you walk your way up through from Lion to Arrow of Light, you should have a whole bunch of these, right? And yes, you can. There are similar, I don't have a picture of them. There's one for each Cub Scout rank that you can put on your Den Leader Training Award knot if you earn it. Or you can choose not to. It's your choice. No one's going to go foist medals upon you. All right, key. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is kind of the next level up. This is called the Unit Leader Award of Merit. There are a whole bunch of requirements, and it's actually a really good one. I've pinned this on at least 2 people, and it's something that is, it's a little bit challenging. Most of these are pretty easy. 18 months of service, continuous, right? Training requirements, having a plan and a calendar that you send out to your families. Most of us do that. I'm going to skip the number 4 because that's where I usually get tripped up. Effectively use advancement, or your Scouts advancing, right? 60% of youth in the past 12 months. With Cub Scouts, this is usually pretty easy. I imagine in some of our older youth program, it gets more challenging to reach that metric, but that's worth thinking about. Can I get there? Can I have my Scouts get that one thing, at least 60% of them? Positive relationship with Sartard.org and with the community are kind of squishy, but do you know who your COR is? Are you friendly with them? The biggest challenge that I have is the succession plan. Oftentimes it is really hard to know if, heaven forbid, my Scoutmaster gets hit by a bus, who takes over the Scout meeting next Monday, Tuesday, whatever it is, right? And that's what I look at this as. Who would take over if needed? And usually when it gets to that point of, oh, we need to actually figure this out, is when I start to think, Unit Leader Award of Merit time. I can actually sign that. Let's go look at the thing real quick. The unit leader is, again, a key part of this. There's a whole page of explanation. And again, this is only eligible for those who are unit leaders, Cub Master, Scoutmaster, Advisor, Skipper. That's it. 18 months in those positions continuously. Notice unit committee chair initials all the way down. And then it comes to me currently as your district commissioner to approve, sign. For Scoutmasters, advisors, and Sea Scout skippers, this has to be accompanied with a youth leader recommendation. As senior patrol leader, president, and bosun. I got it. Yeah. I'm out. This can be as simple as an email that gets forwarded and can be printed and added to the stack. There's also a statement, I believe, by the committee chair. I like to write very flowery language of how awesome this person is, a whole page, and just staple it to the nomination form. And then add the youth leader if it's applicable. There's no youth leader statement required for Cub Scouts. That would be entertaining.
Brings Rice Krispies.
I know.
to every meeting.
The Pinewood Derby was the best, that kind of thing. This is, I'm gonna go back to these slides here, the highest award that our district can offer to our unit leaders, essentially. It is technically nomination only. I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit and tell you that when a person is nominated for this and all the pieces are in place, there is no committee that's formed to look at it and say, is this person, worthy? It doesn't go all the way up to Gary at council for his approval, except for the signature, I think, at the bottom. It's a little bit more rubber stampy, like Scouts Honor. This is true. This person deserves this little recognition. It is technically a nomination form, but I look at it a little bit more because there are 7 requirements as a check the boxes. Okay, that's why I put it there. All these links should be live at the end. Okay, I'm going to take a pause for just a second and comment, and this comes right from Greg. Everything they've done is a check the boxes type thing, and a scout is trustworthy is important on this one. Did you go to University of Scouting? Yes. I'm not going to ask you for your receipt from the council that you went to and selfie pictures with Jennifer Hahn. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Right? If you say you did it, you did it. We're done. Now, what can make a big difference is a committee chair that understands, knows about them, and cares, and wants to say thank you. And also a committee chair, or maybe somebody else in the committee, a training chair, an awards chair, something like that, that is willing to stay on top of it. Who has been in this position for nearly 2 years, and we need to start looking at, did they check all the boxes? A person that just wants to be that kind of an organized person. What happens if your committee chair just doesn't care, or even worse, just doesn't want to bother? For any of the ones that the first 3 I mentioned, you can advocate for yourself, just like Janelle said. You're a den leader and you did all these things, fill out the form, take it to your Cub Master, have them sign it. Take it to your committee chair, have them sign it. You can take it to Daryl. Same thing with Scouter's training and Scouter's Keith. Although the unit leader doesn't sign those, if I remember right. The unit leader award of merit's a little different. If you are the troop treasurer and you decide that your scoutmaster really deserves to be recognized with the unit leader award of merit, you can plug that and say, hey, I think this is something you should do. But because it's technically a nomination and you saw all those committee chair initials and signature, that really does sit with the committee chair. There's not a lot you can do to work around that. But the others, if you did it, you should take that progress record and drive it. That makes sense? Yeah. Other thoughts or comments to add to that?
So both for all the units I've been involved in, I've had the same situation, and that's exactly
right.
It's like I bring in the stack, say, here's the leaders that went to University of Scouting, because honestly, especially in Cub Scouts, that's the killer.
Yep.
Like if you've got a good program, the dens are doing great. It's like, for the love of God, just show up to University of Scouting, eat some Dutch oven food.
Yeah, have some fun, right?
Because they always ask, like, how do I get a knot? It's like, oh, go to University of
Just
Scouting.
do something, exactly. And having that awareness of the fact that this thing exists and you should do it is a good start too.
Yeah.
And when you onboard a new den leader, a new scoutmaster, a new, pack treasurer, whatever it is, let them know what's available to them. Here's the den leaders training award. Here's the progress record. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just showing them the ski slope and the gates to ski through, right? That's it.
Do you go over the awarding of this later in a later slide, Mike?
I can. Yeah.
I would just add here that
Go ahead, yeah.
like how people like to get recognized.
Yeah.
Some people are patch people, and that's great, but others, like, honestly, it's the hey, in front of the troop at a court of honor, like, Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so has been doing an awesome job.
Absolutely.
And there's this recognition, and it's the words or the public.
Yeah, the recognition in front of everybody that thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I got to a point with my pack as committee chair that I could probably rattle off a couple den leader awards in about 2 minutes. come on up and join me. They've been doing this for a while. Thank you. And they've earned this thing and everyone, yay, and they get a thing, you know, and I'll go to Michael's and buy the $4, it was $4 5 years ago, probably $8 now. The $4 plastic frame, right? The simple black. It looks so much better than handing them a piece of paper with a knot stapled on it, right? Just get the little frame from Michael's and then tape the knot, and here you go. This is where it goes, you know, all that kind of stuff. And give them their 90 seconds, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to take 10 minutes. You have to go through every single requirement. Just, hey, these people have been doing great. They help make our unit go. They help our scouts. Help me thank them. That's kind of how I do it.
And then I also found immediately after handing those out, you get the adult volunteers who did not get that award ask.
Here's a progress record.
Well, or no, they ask like, how do I get?
How do I
this?
do
Like,
that?
Remember
Absolutely.
I said trip to University Scouting?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, absolutely. As a Cub Scout committee chair for 6 years, I like to do it at a PAC meeting. Whenever they were done, I put it in, and as soon as I could, I got it to them. I could see for troops, crews, or ships, you might wait for the next Court of Honor, Bridge of Honor. What does a crew do? Crew of Honor? Just do? I don't know. Probably the next meeting, I guess. I don't know.
Court of Honor.
We did food.
Oh, Virginia, yes.
Now, if you're not inspecting somebody's uniform, how can you find out what awards somebody has received?
Okay, so this is tricky because records at council are okay, but they're not ideal. One of the things as a committee chair you can do is you can email Michelle Baumann and say, hey, do you have record of this person earning this thing? Everything I showed you here, except for the U Leader Award of Merit. No, I'm sorry. Everything I showed you here can be earned multiple times in different programs. In theory, you earn a Unit Leader Award of Merit as okay, let me put it this way. For each of these things, when you earn it in that position, in that level, then you're done there, right? With a Den Leader, you're moving on to the next level, the next age, or a Scouts BSA, you've earned the Scouters Training Award, you've got that pin. Maybe the next one is being a commissioner or a committee member or something like that, right? You don't go back and earn it again. So Michelle has most of those downtown. Is the right answer, I think. Or you could go to your successor, your predecessor at your unit and ask, you know, what did you do? And hopefully you don't get blank stares. I came in as a PAC committee chair and asked my predecessor, how are we doing on Journey to Excellence? And she turned to me and said, Journey to what? Exactly. Another voice, and Heather knows exactly what I'm talking about here. There was a point about 10 years ago when we were trying to recognize some adult leaders, and one of our other adult leaders said, why are we bothering? Why are we bothering to do this? This is about the Scouts. And I'm going to go back to slide number 2 that you saw. This is to say thank you. And that's why I think if you have a committee chair who is a little bit resistant, have me come to your meeting and talk to them. I can give them a little bit of rationale for why we say thank you. It's really important. And it came down to hoodies is what it came down to. The weirdest thing, Neil?
Yeah, I've been doing as an adult scouting for, I don't know, probably almost 5 years at least.
Okay.
And it was my district commissioner.
Oh.
I had come in and she made a comment. It's like, I know you have earned more. Yeah, there's nothing on your uniform. And
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's all from the youth. And she kind of slapped me across the face and said, yeah, I know that, but your youth want to see the adults get recognized as
That's
well.
true too. Yeah, absolutely.
So then I started keeping track.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you.
Helps them know.
Jeff?
You know, it sounds funny and some people remember Carl, but I remember Carl coming into Roundtable and he did, yeah, and he, you know, how Carl delicate and easy entry he was. I need all the scoutmasters to stand up, right? Very Carl, right? And they all stood up and he said, okay, now come forward. Great. Here, this is your paper. Fold it up because I know you fold everything up and put it in your pocket. This helps you understand the things to do in your job. If
Yeah.
you're doing a good job, this will naturally occur. You've got a copy, start keeping track of it. And he did the same thing with the committee chairs. We went through the whole thing. It probably took 20 minutes at Roundtable.
Just handing out papers
Everybody had a copy of their thing.
of the progress
And said,
record.
great, because now you know,
Yeah.
and his end point was, now you know, these are, if you're doing, if you do all the stuff that's on the sheet, you're probably doing a good job.
Yeah.
He was rough and gruff to get there, but the intent was the best intent.
So Jackson, you can take that roll up real quick, get a little rough and gruff and no.
Probably got the lockdown.
Jim, did you have a point?
So I think that the only thing that I could add to this is how many kids have come up and pointed at your knot?
Yep.
And what'd you get that for?
Yeah.
What'd you get that?
Especially if
for?
it's new or there's something on it, right? Yeah,
They're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
What you've been up to.
sure, absolutely.
We all see their.
And we recognize them on a regular basis and celebrate that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I want to move on because we're running out of time a little bit here. The next thing I want to talk about is we're getting to the nomination set things here. District Award of Merit is, and you're going to see this language going forward, nomination only. And if you nominate yourself, that basically disqualifies the applicant. So don't nominate yourself. You need to be an adult registered volunteer who renders outstanding service of an outstanding nature at the district level. And we get to the point here where we're talking about a ratio. Your district can issue a certain number of these per number of units we have. I believe this year, is it 2? Because we're at 72 units for DOM. So we can offer 2 of these. We're at 72. We're real close. Somebody go make a few packs. Okay. Well, there you go. Oh, they roll over. Yeah. Oh, wow. Now, one of the things to notice is if we don't get suitable nominations, we don't have to hand it out. So please nominate people, right? Nominate folks. It is technically a council issued award. And there are, every time we have this is a seasonal thing. It's usually May-ish timeframe. We have the deadline. I recall sitting around a picnic table with 4 or 5 other people a couple times in June in a park talking about these. And it's really fun to see who's nominated, what they've done, and try to find the best candidate, right? Nominate folks that you think have given outstanding service. There are 5 stated requirements. Number 1 and number 5 are easy. They must be registered. They must be breathing. That's it. 2, 3, and 4 get interesting. 2 is, again, noteworthy service to youth. What is that noteworthy service? Have they gone and done something really cool? Consideration given to their registered position. I look at that as, have they gone above and beyond the call of duty? Right? They didn't register to do this thing, but they jumped in and did it. And that was awesome. And number 4 kind of means they're not going rogue. They're not running their own scouting program out in somewhere, right? That kind of thing. They're helping and they're moving scouting in the right direction.
Quality rise up.
I know. There's a nomination form down there. These will be asked for nominations over the next few months. Once Silver Beaver is locked down, and that's the next one we're talking about. Then our district starts looking at these. Usually it's May timeframe, and you'll hear from Joan and Pat Thompson about that, no doubt. Silver Beaver is the next one. It's kind of the next level up. This is a council level award. Again, nomination only. And I'm not going to read the statement to you here, but it's really about amazing service, dedication, notice many years of service. There's no minimum, but it's all about you've really put in the time and the effort and made something awesome happen. I last updated this about 8 years ago, and there were over 50,000 recipients nationwide. It's created back in the 30s, and the only real requirement is you have to be registered in the BSA in some way, shape, or form. That's it. I like Mary's laughing at me. Mary's a Silver Beaver from what, 1990 something, Mary?
Yeah.
Mary's been around for a while. Now you take it up a notch, and I'm trying to remember.
Hey,
Technology's not area territory now, service territory. Is that right?
hey, Mike,
Sorry, go ahead.
Mike. Nobody ever told me I could get out.
We're not letting you go, Mary. So one level up is Silver Antelope. If you pay attention, I believe it was Keeling Deathridge that was given the Silver Antelope. Quite a few less. And again, you must be registered with BSA, and this is going to be service at for something above the council level. And finally, the big kahuna is the Silver Buffalo. Notice that you don't have to be registered with BSA. I encourage you, if you're interested, to go onto Wikipedia and search for the list of Silver Buffalo awardees. About 6 years ago, there were less than 800 total. in the history of this thing. You will recognize the names if you find that list on Wikipedia of those people who have been awarded this. It is quite an honor, and there are some big names on there. Kind of cool. Okay, so those are the silver awards, and this is similar to, I think it's the military that has silver as the highest honor, not Olympics, bronze, silver, gold. It's more of the silver is the highest honor. I need to mention, and these are fairly new. I didn't even realize this was a thing until Pat sent out an email recently with the Silver Beaver nomination, as well as the Venturing and the Sea Scout Leadership Awards. Again, not, have they been around for a while?
They're not new.
That just
Council
shows
has been-
my lack of understanding.
They've been around for a while.
The nomination, again, nomination only, the nomination forms are on the Google Drive. Live by the principles of Scout Oath and Law, exemplary in their personal, family, professional activities. There's a statement that must be done, and there are 3 different levels. Again, national, territory, sorry, should be council, territory, national. My apologies. Hopefully this one does. Nope, it does. Nope, it's a national flight. So Sea Scout is very, very similar. It's just 4 different programs. Is there any differences that you're aware of?
So you're showing the 4. That was back when we had.
Yes.
areas and-
I couldn't find a new image.
Well, that's because they basically took out the.
Yeah, the white one.
That gray one, that one isn't there anymore.
And if you actually look at,
Yeah.
yeah,
All the same.
if you look at I have it here. So let's look at the Sea Scout one. The nomination form actually has that image on
Yeah,
it
and you
still.
notice that
There's no checkbox.
There's no checkbox.
Now,
Check.
the Venturing one has been updated. It has only 3. Can we copy a new image in there? What's going on? So be aware this is a thing. It's kind of a big deal. My understanding is it's a pretty big deal. On par with Silver Beaver. My understanding is, yeah, so like with this one, there's a mention of candidate school, place of worship. This statement is different between Venturing and Sea Scouts. I don't know why, but that's the one thing I noticed that was different. Sea Scouts do their own thing. Very unique. Heather wanted me to mention Wood Badge because some people look at beads from Wood Badge as an award. I think it fits into training, but I'll talk about it briefly, and Janelle can be happy as I do that. If you are interested in Wood Badge, there are only a few requirements. You need to be registered as a volunteer in any capacity, basically, be fully trained in that position, attend a Wood Badge session, during which time you'll write a ticket with some goals, and then go finish those goals, and you get some bling. Done. And it's also a really, really good training for those of you who have never been. I know there's a lot of people in here that are wearing beads, so no big deal. Also, if you're curious and you see somebody wandering around with 4 beads or 3 beads, you get 2 when you finish the course and finish your requirements. Hang on, I'll be there. You get a 3rd bead when you staff and a 4th when you are course director. Go ahead, Jack.
I believe you also get a 5th bead if you course direct and then 1.
A 5th bead? I don't know. That's getting a bit loose, Jackson.
Hey, Mike, I have 2 beads, 2 sets of beads.
Okay, yeah.
I went to Boy Scouts
Oh, the
Wood Badge, and I went to
Back
Cub
on the
Scout Wood Badge.
It's an achievement, not an award.
Well, you told me to put it in. So, right. It is. And a lot of people do look at this as a pretty special thing. It's now part of my uniform, and I don't usually wear my uniform without my beads. I'm gonna talk about Order of the Arrow here real quick. We got a few arrowmen in the house. Come on in. No? Okay. Calla doesn't want to come in. For those of you who are not familiar, I think most of you are Scouts BSA folks, but anybody who's Cub Scouting online or anything like that, OA is basically an honor society for our scouting folks, and it really kind of starts at the troop level. Eligible youth members are voted in by their peers, so it has nothing to do with adults basically deciding, oh, this person should be recognized. It's really a youth recognition of this person lives by the Scout Oath and Law, and I want them to be recognized. Adults are a little different. If an adult hasn't been inducted as a youth, there's a process as an adult to be nominated. I don't want to get into that. Daryl can tell you all about that someday. There's a real strong focus on service in the OA. There used to be a real strong element of Native American imagery and lore, and that has been reduced quite a bit. It's still there in a few places, but it's really strong on service and being sort of an honor society. There are 3 levels. Don't think of it as ranks. Think of it as membership levels, maybe. I don't know. Induction is you were elected and you went through your induction weekend. After it used to be a year, now it's 6 months, I think. You can become Brotherhood by being active in your chapter, your lodge, whatever. And then Vigil's what I'm going to talk about. Vigil's a little bit different. Again, nomination only. Isn't that interesting? And I remember the language in this, at least for a while, was it is given to those who do not seek it. And that's something that kind of rattles around in my head a little bit. Again, there's a relative number of Vigil honors we can give per how many members in our lodge there are. I don't know what we've got for lodge membership these days, but you'll see, you may know, out of curiosity, how many Vigils we offer year over year.
3 and 3.
Okay, 3 youth, 3 adults. And that speaks to this. You'll never see 4 youth, 2 adults, or all adults. It's always a balance or in favor of youth in that way. And you have to be a Brotherhood member for at least 2 years, but more importantly, you have to be nominated. And more importantly, people kind of have to know that you're involved and understand that you have provided some level of service. Kind of a big deal. It's pretty cool. We have, who does the nominations? I think anybody can nominate. No? Who can?
Only you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can do the nominations or do the decision making?
Yeah.
Both?
Oh, don't stand to.
But voting is done by the.
Vote, the discussions and the voting are actually done by the youth members with a couple of adults in the back of the room, making sure no fistfights break out. This is a pretty big deal. Again, nomination only. There is a season. You'll see a email come out with an attachment of here are all the candidates for Vigil. And if you think somebody on there deserves it, write up a nomination and write all that you know about how awesome that person is and how much they are into service and all that kind of stuff.
A Vigil.
Sorry?
Is there some sort of indication?
Oh. Yeah, who has their feather on? Oh, Phil, stand up. Now, this is something that I think our council does. I don't know any other councils, but if you see someone with a feather, like Scoutmaster Phil here, that means that he is a Vigil candidate at this point. And then when he goes through his Vigil induction later on this spring, you will get your sack and all those things. So that's what that means. Thank you. All right. Other OA. Oh, good. Mr. Mudd's in the house. He can answer all my OA questions here. Yep. Wrong way. Founders Award, council level, nomination only. And if I did my math right, our council can give out a very small handful of these every year.
I think it was
3, maybe sounds about right. It may be awarded annually, doesn't have to be. Put in a nomination. If again more than one is presented, there is consideration for balance amongst youth and adults. This one, the way it's worded, you can have an adult be recognized and not a youth. This I think is usually given at the Council Court of Honor, if I remember correctly.
No, we handed out at Rendezvous.
Oh, Rendezvous, thank you. Okay, I gotta get to that one of these days.
But sometimes it is recognized at the Council Court of Honor.
Okay. There's a really cool little paperweight, I guess, a plaque thing. And then I haven't seen them very often. We had them back in our day as youth, these little danglers that went on our pin, our buttons and got lost really easily. Okay, Jim has one. And the standard one is white and red, half and half vertically. This one's all red. And I don't think I've ever seen it. Do you have it? John's sporting it. Awesome. And I think the arrow is gold or bronze.
I'm sorry?
Is the arrow gold or bronze? Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So that's one thing. Again, if you know somebody who has rendered awesome service, especially to our council or lodge, that's a good one. The Distinguished Service Award is, again, even more rare, to my understanding. Nomination only. Outstanding service to the section, which is one level above our lodge or council, or region or national, which we still have regional, John? Or has that been wiped? I know section still exists.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's still those levels. Thank you. Of OA. Dedicated service to OA and scouting over a period of years is a language that I found. And it can be for scouts under 21 or adults. Pretty big deal.
Alive.
Sorry?
Have to be alive.
Not possible.
Yes, thank you. They must be alive. Must be breathing. So those are the big ones. I want to do a couple of runner up, maybe. I don't know, some other ones. I didn't mention the religious awards on this. I was going to throw in a brief slide and I ran out of time. And I did not mention the community awards, which are kind of unique. And those are special because those are awards you earn in an outside organization. Neil can show you his, I'm guessing, Power Squadron.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember they were one of them. There's a whole list of organizations that kind of partner with BSA, and they have their own. It's that organization that has a set of things, requirements, a program for you to work towards, often in supporting scouting and their organization together and kind of binding them and keeping that relationship strong, right? And it's similar with religious awards, right? Depending on what church you attend, what your faith is, your church may have a particular award. I know the Protestants have one, our LDS friends have one, Catholics have one, and they're very unique. They're very different for each program. You earn it from that organization, and then BSA recognizes it with a knot that you wear in uniform. Is that the best way to say it? I think, yeah. So I just wanted to mention that exists. And there's another one I wanted to point out here. An alumni award exists. I have never seen this in the wild. And the reason I think personally is the list of requirements is kind of crazy. They took up 4 pages just to list all the requirements. Now, I got excited about this when I first saw it, thinking this is great, and I still think it's awesome. I think it was written by a zealot, to be honest. Wow, this is crazy. It exists. It's out there. And if you have people in your circles that have been in scouting and now they're kind of stepped back, and you think you can bring them in and foster things and create an organization, this may be something to look at in terms of what kind of things you can do. This is on the slides. I didn't find the form. It would be a progress record because it is a check the boxes. So I'll see if I can find that and add it to the Google Drive.
No question.
Good.
One of the words that National Guard Award, I've seen many scouts that they actually had.
Yeah.
Their,
I think it's a 5-part thing, right?
Yeah,
Assuming-
It's a 5-sided emblem with
Yeah,
6
yeah.
things that go around it.
My
Yeah,
question
yes.
is, do you, like, is it appropriate for the scouts to sew it as part of the uniform?
Now, I've seen it sewn on the arm. Is that correct? Or is it go?
So it's supposed to be where he's touching it,
Oh, it
but
is.
I've seen, at least my troop, they just,
All over the
they put-
place.
When a lot of them put it up here because it's like a major
Yeah,
deal for
it's a
them,
big
and
deal.
then they, like their summer camp patch or whatever, that they swap out, they'll have down.
So yeah, my
Or
understanding
away full
is
planet version.
and the place to look for some of this stuff is there is a 4-file document that's called the Insignia Guide, BSA's Insignia Guide, that will tell you exactly what it is and where, in theory, where it should go on your uniform. And I think the answer is
The superficial spot.
Right side up.
yes, right side up as well. There's a Pentagon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a function. So yes, and I would definitely encourage scouts to wear that. That's a big deal. That's awesome.
Or I've seen another spot that hits my troop in the back of their merit badge sash. They put important patches. Just
Yeah. What am I forgetting?
I was supposed to remind you. I forgot
Here we are.
now That Daryl wanted me to mention that the HODAG still exists.
Okay, so the HODAG Award. Anybody know what the HODAG Award is? Okay, awesome. Nathan, what's the HODAG? Yeah, you earned it. Awesome. Okay, what is it and how do you earn it?
It's a digging, used for pulling rocks on a trail,
And planting trees.
and it's,
Fires.
presented for doing, I forget the number of hours of service. Might have been 25 based on the total insight.
The silver is 10 and the gold.
I think the silver is 25 and the gold is 50. I think so.
It took a while for me to get the silver and I haven't done the gold. So
Yeah.
but
Now,
it's for service to,
council properties.
capital property.
Very specifically council properties. And I believe each time you go and provide service, the ranger is supposed to sign it or somebody who's in charge of that
There's a little
program.
form you use.
Yeah.
Accounting for your-
It's intense. So kudos to Nathan for.
let me talk about a Lego mat.
There you go. And if you find yourself at Camp Merriweather and you're walking out a door and you see a hodag, which it looks like a pick, basically, going out the door, that's the north facing door of the dining hall, and it has George Beale's name on it. Take a moment to read that, because that's the real deal right there. That man knew what he was doing. Other thoughts, comments, or other awards I forgot to talk about? Yeah, thank you. Please take this back to your units and encourage folks to work towards something, even if it's just one thing. Find something that's interesting. Encourage your committee chair to keep track of who's eligible. Encourage folks to go to University of Scouting, come to Roundtable, and some of these things will start to fall into place. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. With that, have a great evening. All right. Now I'm going to stop the recording